continue as voter registration is still ongoing. Use the opportunity to register and be ready to vote. On the news this hour, President Tinubu calls for balanced criticism of government policies. Senate leader denies alleged plot to remove Akpabio. Senate approves President Tinubu's 1.15 trillion naira domestic loan. Defense Minister Badaru assures protection for military officers on lawful duty. On the foreign scene, Gabon court sentences former First Lady and son to 20 years for embezzlement. I'm Sam Chinedu, and the news continues after the break. Welcome back. We begin the news this hour with an appeal from the president. President Bola Tinubu is urging Nigerian media professionals to report with truth, fairness, and professionalism, saying the media should act responsibly to strengthen democracy. Speaking at the 2025 All Nigerian Editors Conference in Abuja, Tinubu says government criticism is important, but must be informed and constructive, not negative or cynical. He praised the media for defending democracy and promoting accountability, but warns that careless reporting could harm national unity.
As editors and managers of the national information space, you shape narratives, you influence public understanding, you decide what becomes national focus and how our collective challenges are interpreted. The weight of that responsibility is extremely significant. It must be exercised with wisdom, fairness, and a strong sense of national duty.
Meanwhile, President of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Eze Anaba, is asking President Tinubu to support the media with tax reliefs, VAT exemptions, and digital innovation grants. He's also suggesting affordable loans and tax incentives for advertisers to help the sector survive. Anaba is also calling for an end to restrictive laws and protection of press freedom, stressing that a strong press strengthens democracy, while a stifled press weakens it.
We seek legislative and executive assistance to help balance our business, to make our businesses viable with our public duty. The media today is distressed. Most newspapers, television houses cannot pay salaries. Not because they're not doing well, Your Excellency. It's because the components to perform their duty, the cost of producing them is prohibitive.
And now we head to the National Assembly, where the Senate is denying reports of an alleged plot to remove Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele describes the reports as false and intended to create unnecessary tension within the National Assembly. Speaking during Wednesday's plenary, Bamidele says there have been no discussions or plans among senators to remove Akpabio. He assures the Senate remains united and focused on addressing important national issues and is not distracted by false claims. His clarification follows comments by Senator Orji Uzor-Kalu, who recently mentioned past failed attempts to impeach the Senate president. And still in the legislature, the Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's request to borrow 1.15 trillion naira from the domestic debt market to cover the remaining shortfall in the 2025 budget. The approval follows the adoption of a report by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt during Wednesday's plenary. According to the committee, the 2025 Appropriation Act includes total spending of 59.99 trillion naira, an increase of 5.25 trillion naira from the 54.74 trillion naira initially proposed by the president. This created a total budget deficit of 14.10 trillion naira. Out of this amount, 12.95 trillion naira has already been approved for borrowing, leaving an unfunded gap of 1.15 trillion naira. In a related development, the Senate also passed a motion to strengthen oversight of the borrowed funds to ensure they are properly used in the 2025 fiscal year and spent only for their approved purposes. The motion, moved by Senator Abdul Ningi, directed the Senate Committee on Appropriations to closely monitor the use of the funds. Now let's give you a reaction from the federal government following the clash between the FCT minister and naval officers in Abuja yesterday. The Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru, says the federal government will protect all military officers carrying out lawful duties. He made the statement on Wednesday during a press briefing ahead of the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Celebration and Remembrance Day. Badaru stresses that the welfare of military personnel is a top priority under the Soldier First initiative. His comment comes after Tuesday's clash between FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and some military officers over a piece of land in Abuja. The officers were reportedly acting on orders from a former chief of naval staff. Earlier, the defense headquarters, in a post on social media platform X, emphasized that it is an honor to serve in the Nigerian military. On Tuesday night, it shared a photo with the words "unshaking, unbent, unbroken." The post came after a public clash between FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and Naval Officer Lieutenant A.M. Yerima over a disputed piece of land in Abuja. In other news, the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria for the 19 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory, Reverend Joseph Hayab, says U.S. President Donald Trump's warning to Nigeria over alleged killings of Christians is misinterpreted. Hayab, who spoke on Arise Television on Wednesday, is of the opinion that Trump did not threaten to invade Nigeria, but calling for attention to the issue. He's urging the federal government to act against terrorists targeting Christians, adding that acknowledging the problem is the first step towards national healing. Still to come, Nnamdi Kanu files application at appeal court to stop terrorism trial. Stay with us. Welcome back. The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has filed an application at the Court of Appeal seeking to halt further proceedings in his trial at the Federal High Court in Abuja. In a motion, Kanu is asking the appeal court to stop the delivery of judgment pending the outcome of his appeal. The application filed under Section 36, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution comes as Justice James Omotosho had earlier fixed November 20 to deliver judgment in his terrorism trial. And to politics now, Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri says he will not force his deputy, Senator Lawrence Erujakpo, to join the All Progressives Congress. Speaking at the State Executive Council meeting in Yenagoa on Wednesday, Diri says he prefers dialogue over confrontation. He acknowledged that it is difficult for them to be in different parties, but says their ongoing discussions are producing positive results. Diri also revealed that Erujakpo's court case at the Federal High Court in Abuja to stop an alleged impeachment plan has been dropped after their talks. And back home, River State Governor Simiralai Fubara is continuing his inspection of ongoing projects in the state. On Wednesday, he inspected the Lua Bere Road and Bridge project in Kana local government area. The project is being constructed by the Chinese Civil Engineering Construction Corporation. On the international scene, a Gabon court on Wednesday sentenced former First Lady Sylvia Bongo and her son, Noureddin Bongo, to 20 years in prison after a 2-day corruption trial. Both were tried in absentia and found guilty of embezzling public funds. Sylvia was accused of influencing her husband, former President Ali Bongo, to misuse taxpayers' money. She denies the charges. Her son, Noureddin, calls the trial a legal farce and says the verdict was predetermined by the current government, which ended the Bongo family's 55-year rule in 2023. On the news this evening, you heard President Bola Tinubu is calling for balanced criticism of government's policies. We told you the Senate leader, Opeyemi Bamidele, has denied an alleged plot to remove Senate President Godswill Akpabio. You heard the Senate has approved President Tinubu's 1.15 trillion naira domestic loan. We told you that Defense Minister Badaru has assured protection for military officers on lawful duty. On the foreign scene, Gabon court has sentenced former First Lady and her son to 20 years for embezzlement. The news was edited by Ifunaya Obeme Ndukwe. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Sam Chinedu. Thanks for listening.